And we are live. Welcome back, OTYD family. We are so excited for our second episode. As you guys know, we've launched our podcast. We released our first episode last week, and now we're back at it again with episode 2. And as you can see, we have some new faces, some guests. You guys excited for this podcast, this episode?
Woo!
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. They're excited. I love it. I love it. Okay. So as you guys know, the year is coming to a wrap. 2022 is almost closing. We know we're starting 2023. So we're starting a new series called New Year, Better Me. Let that sit in, right? Mm-hmm. New Year, Better Me. So today we're just going to dive in, have just a real conversation of, what was this year like? What was 2022? Let's reflect on it. Let's talk about it. And let's see what we can really take away and kind of take into the new year and what we can kind of reflect. So with that being said, I will be your host, JD, Jerusalem, whatever you want to call me. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be your host, but more than me, right? We're very excited to meet our guests for today. So I'll start here. You guys kind of introduce yourselves a little bit. Tell the guests, tell our hosts, tell our viewers and our family a little bit about yourself, your service, and kind of anything else that you want to mention.
Hello, my name is Yabsara. I am a servant at OTYD. I am an advertisement, and I am a mezmur as well in the OTYD choir. And then I also serve at my church at Selassie.
Yes.
Hey everyone, my name is Gal Kiran, but my friends call me Gal. I'm part of the OTYD choir. I help advertising wherever it's needed, I'm also Sanbet Tamari at Makana Salam, Qudus Mikhail Qudus Kiran Amirat, and that's basically who I am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diakon Yohannes. I'm an active member of OTYD. And I serve in OTYD and in my home church as well, which is Dabra Burhan Qudus Selassie, along with the Apsara. And that's a little bit about me.
Hi, I'm Sara. I serve as a finance team lead for OTYD. I also am a part of the OTYD choir, and I serve at different churches as a Sunday school teacher, but the parish church that I attend is Gannatas Ege Qudus Georgis.
I love it. I love it. I'm kind of hurt that Johannes and Yab didn't include me in the church. Johannes, you just said just Yab and you go there. Okay, but it's fine. I'm not hurt or anything. Well, we're very excited to have you guys here. So with that being said, you guys know the topic today that we're going to be discussing is New Year, Better Me, right? That in itself kind of gives you an idea of what today's conversation is going to be about. We're going to be reflecting on what this year was really like for us. So with that being said, I want y'all to go back, right? Of 2022, New Year just hit and you sat down, or maybe you just thought about it, right? New Year's resolution. So what was like the thing that you wanted to accomplish into going into 2022? So last year around this time, what did you want to accomplish? Let's start there. And feel free, open space. Anybody could talk at any time.
So for me, I just became a deacon. Like don't let the beard fool you. I haven't been a deacon for a long time. So yeah, I'm 21 now. I became a deacon last year at the age of 20. And so my biggest thing was like spiritually, like I was on like a very like spiritual high. Like I was amped up, I was ready. Like my biggest thing was like service. Like I need to serve in all these different ways, like adase or mezmur, or just like especially just like being there and being early, super early, being the first one there. And I had all of these like high expectations. And my goal was basically to be the best deacon that I could be. Although it was a very high and like unattainable goal, I'll be honest to admit. I'm still striving to be that till this day.
So your goal was to like be a better servant?
Yeah, specifically in like my deaconhood as well, because like it was like the first thing on my mind. I just became one fresh off the boat of being a deacon, and obviously super important to me, right? And so just trying to learn everything that I can, whether it's like the daily prayers, Adasi, of course, and like all of the little things as well that goes along with being a good servant.
So, like with that, going into that new year, was it easier at the beginning? And then because you said it was very hard and you're still working on it. So was it easier at the beginning and then kind of became more difficult as it went on?
It's hard like throughout because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be the best that you can. And then because you're older, like there's like this expectation of people like to be honest, of like priests or even like older like Memenon having like expectations of you to already like know everything because you're older. And that's not how it works. Like you're new to something, you mess things up and you learn along the way. But since there's that expectation that they have on you, you kind of sort of like adapt that expectation on yourself as well. And it makes things very difficult to like progress when you're so hard on yourself. And so like the new year was very hard. It was difficult to just like progress in like a fast way, in a slow way. Like one thing I would really tell myself, like if I could go back, was like be patient, like let things come to you, because it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, new year, new me, which I like the title, New Year, Better Me, right? That makes sense. We should be all better. We tend to like try to do everything fast and like get to like that end result, but it really is the journey that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Sada was over there shaking her head. Did that resonate with you?
I really like the fact that he said to be patient. One thing that he would tell himself was to be patient. I could really resonate with that because I struggle to like hold on to hope for many different things, and at the end of it all, it was just God telling me to be patient. So I really like that you brought that up. But for me, I would say I did not have a New Year's resolution. Actually, I was just like, let me go with the flow because, as we grow, we're just going to be faced with many challenges along the way. Like when we were kids, I could speak for myself. I was very sheltered. So it's like my parents did a great job at hiding many challenges that they faced. You know what I mean? So I was very innocent-minded for that. So I'm now realizing that life is tough, and as the years go by, many, many things will appear in our faces, so I was just like, let me just go with the flow. But patience is one of the things that I held deeply. Yeah.
So you mentioned like going with the flow, right? I think a lot of people, like not everybody makes New Year's resolution. I think for like years it's been a trend, and then we got in society, there was like, I don't know, it just became like normalized where it's like, don't make a New Year's resolution, or it was like because people broke it so many times that it was just like,
What's the point?
Like what's the point? Exactly, what's the point? So you talked about this year kind of taking it one day at a time and going with the flow. Was that different from how you took past years of like the New Year's? Like were you intentional of like what you wanted to accomplish, or is this a common theme as you started the year?
In the previous years, I would say it kind of changed when I was in college. In the previous years, I did have New Year goals for myself, short-term goals, because I know long-term is not as effective. I just wanted to work on like baby steps, getting past that at first. But over the years, I was like, whoa, like let me not think about the future because I don't know what's to come tomorrow. So that's what I mean in terms of like, let me go with the flow. Let me take it one day at a time because I don't know what the future holds for myself. You know what I mean? So that's why I really don't have expectations for myself every year. It kind of died down. And so last year I was just like, well, it's a new year. It's another beautiful year. We're in 2022. Yeah.
That's fair. I was going to say also, I feel like when you don't make New Year's resolution, right? And now like we're at the end of the year and we're reflecting on this year, what happened. Do you think that it makes it harder to kind of reflect and say, I met that goal, I did that, I failed here? Like, does that make it harder if you didn't set expectations for the new year? Does that make sense? And that could be for anyone as well.
I
I feel like I can answer that just because I also do not make New Year's resolution, because in the back of my mind, I always feel like I'm setting myself up for failure. And I don't know, just because of experience, like fasting goals and things like that, never do I really, like, I disappoint myself. So like I usually just put like on my notes, I'm like, I would like to accomplish this, but it's never like, it's only to reflect to those things. Like at the end of the year, I'm like, okay, I did this, I did that. Especially as a freshman in college, like first, like, you know, in the first of the year, I was a senior in high school. So like my goal truly was like, okay, I need to decide what school, I need to really pray about it. It was just things like that. So like I still can't believe I was a senior, like, you know, May, like, so like it's just so crazy. So I try not to make, you know, those New Year's resolution just because of that reason. But I like the patience part. It's really interesting.
You started it.
God's like, I got something to add to that.
I just want to start by saying this year has been so long. Like, even just thinking about what went on in January, I literally can't believe that it was this year. It feels like it was like just since COVID, it feels like it's been like one long year. But the only New Year's resolution I had was intentional friendships, because that was like the one thing I was struggling with last year. So I remember at the beginning of the year, I was telling all of my friends, like, this year I'm going to be very intentional with my friendships. We're going to do dates. Like, we're going to, you know, do like friend stuff together.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Love that.
But
oh, here we go.
But, you know, as good as it sounds, January, February, I was, you know, we were going out to lunch, you know, doing all the things. And then as life just got like more busy, you know, school, like even summer, it was just so much is always just going on. Like I honestly just forgot. And I feel like I was still more intentional with my friendships because I set that goal. Like I was more conscious of like, oh, am I being a good friend? Am I, you know, being there and stuff? But honestly, I forgot about the goal.
So the goal was not fully accomplished, but you started off strong.
Somewhat, yeah.
What was it about intentional friendships that kind of brought you to focus on that aspect of your life?
Honestly, like last year I was 2021. I wasn't struggling, but like, you know, I was just going through like friendship hardships or whatever. And so I was like coming into this new year, I was just like, okay, if I tell myself like I'm going to be intentional, then like I don't have to worry about those problems because my friends are going to be the friends that I pick and the ones that I think are good for me, you know? So that's why the intentional word was like, you know, I know what I'm doing when I'm with these friends.
And like when you say, I love that, first of all, like that is such a mature way to look at friendships. Like, I don't think I've ever had a New Year's resolution where I went in focusing on a relationship. I think like during fasting seasons, I'll go into fasting seasons where I'm like, okay, this fast, you know, like I want to focus on this relationship. This fast, I want to focus or work on healing this relationship, whatever, right? But going into New Year of intentionally setting a tone of having that intentional relationship with my friends is a really big one. And with that, did you feel like you struggled with having like being intentional with friendships, right? Just that word in itself, like what does that look like, picking out good friends and kind of going through that relationship? And was that hard?
It definitely was. So repeat the intentional part. I'm sorry.
Love it. There's a lot of questions. Okay. So just being, you said you wanted to be intentional with your friendships, right? What does being intentional with friendships look like to you? Let's start there.
Okay. So I think in the past, I've just kind of been friends like situationally. So like if I'm at church, I'm with my church friends, or if I'm at school, I'm with my school friends. You know, it's like environment wise. But I feel like that's not always useful, and like it can lead to, you know, going down the wrong path or like whatever it may be. And so being intentional, I felt like if I'm choosing you to be my friend, or if I'm choosing to spend time with you, like I know how much effort to put in. I know what I'm going to receive. Like everything is not so like thought out, but like it's like, again, intentional, you know?
Was that like challenging to accomplish throughout?
Definitely, because, you know, when I am intentional, there's some friends that aren't gonna be friends. You know, like you might, the growth is losing some friends, or putting a lot more effort into some friendships, and so yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I think I really resonate with that a lot, especially the older you get. And maybe Sarah's a little bit older, I would say, than you guys. Not to put her age out there. Sarah, you can speak for yourself.
Dang.
I'm just saying.
That's
we
a
got
beautiful
college
age.
students on
I'm
this side.
24 and a half.
We're graduates. We're in the workforce. So a little different perspectives. But I think, Sarah, you would agree with me. And if not, correct me with being intentional with friends. I think the older you get, the more you know how important it is to have true friendship. And it's like, especially like, in high school, you have your friends and then you graduate and they're like, some of them are gone. Like you really just don't talk to them. I remember just a couple of days ago, someone was with me and he ran into his old high school friend. He was like blown away. He was like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy. I haven't seen him in years. But that's what happens, right? Like you don't run into each other. You go to different schools. It's very small amount of people who stay still friends. And then you go to college and it's like, sometimes you make your lifelong friendships in college and you guys stay together. And then it's like, you have your college friends and you grow up and then it's like, okay, I guess we're done making friends. Like what happens now, right? So with that, the older you get, the more intentional you are with friendships and you value more. But I think for your age, in order to be able to say that is extremely important. I think God is over here agreeing, or he is over here agreeing. Did you agree with that?
Yes. And honestly, that might be my only resolution, like for the coming year. Like I've realized people come and go, and like I've just been letting anyone and everyone, just because, I like meeting new people and like I think they're interesting. So, but like now with friendships, I truly think that's one thing I'm going to keep in the back of my head, be like, okay, like why am I friends with them? Like, are they, like beneficial to me? And like, and not in a sense of like, am I, but just in sense of like, am I going the wrong way or the right path type thing? So I like that. New perspective.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna steal that one for next year.
Yeah.
Like that's actually like something I worked on this year, was like analyzing my friendship with like people, like and whatever groups it might be, like whether it's work or school and church. Like I like to call them environmental friends. But no, I think it's really important to analyze your relationships with those people and like see why you're friends with them and what they like potentially bring to you, whether that's happiness or whether that's like putting you in a place where you might be doing things that you're uncomfortable in doing and things of that nature. So analyzing your relationships and figuring out who is best for you and who can put you into the path that you want to be put on and not pressure you to doing things that you don't want to do is very, very important.
Well, if we're talking about the upcoming new year, my New Year's resolution is a bit different, but I do have one this year. It's more so growing in the church, right? Growing in my spiritual life, because I feel like I've been lacking. And I'm publicly saying this because yesterday, like a group of us, a lot of us in here were there yesterday, right? And we were having a conversation in this large group setting. And I felt like I could relate to many of them. So I feel like many people are going through this as well. So lacking in my spiritual life was a big deal for me, like throughout this entire year. And I would say, instead of it being a long year, it felt very fast, right? And I was like, I don't have time to breathe or like catch myself and like focus on my spiritual life. Yeah. But I would say moving forward, yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, with that, it's really interesting because God said hers was a very slow year, and you said complete, like it was, you can't even catch your breath, and everything is moving so fast.
Yeah,
we all experience the same hours, 365 days, right, in the year. But why is it that God, you looked at it as, man, I'm ready for this year to be over, and Sada, you're looking at it as, we're already in, December 2022,
literally.
like January.
We were in November yesterday.
Right. So where's that gap? Like what happened where we, and I'm sure Johannes and Yab said, look, I raised this one, and yet I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah, you can
I'm like, I don't want to call you by your nickname, but Kiaye. Why is it? I'm sure you guys would agree that both, you could resonate with God or you could resonate with Sarah. But why is it that we look at it in such different perspectives?
Go ahead.
The thing is, like, everybody goes through life very, very differently. Like, where I'm in my life, my life is all about like school right now, just trying to finish up. I'm a senior. Pray for me.
In college.
Yes. Just trying to finish up school. That's what I'm trying to do with my life, right? That's like my big thing. For Sarah, it might be working and trying to make money or whatever it might be. For God, it might be something else, or it might be similar because she's in school as well. So whatever we are going through individually is going to be affecting how we see like the world and how the world affects us. And so, of course, like for you, it might be going fast because maybe you're doing something that's taking a lot of your time and your energy, and you're just like counting the days. Whereas for God over here, and me as well, I felt like it was kind of slower too. You're like going through the motions, and it just feels like a routine or something, and it's not moving fast enough. Like, you're just trying to accomplish so much because you have so much time, because we are a little bit younger as well.
Yay. Just a few years, couple of years.
Sarah's getting offended over there.
No. But,
Sarah, it's just a few years. Relax.
Yeah.
You're good.
I feel like whether it is going by fast or slow, however we take it, I feel like it is still the same 24 hours. We're still granted the same 24 hours. So as long as we're able to use that time, like, usefully, then, like, whether it's fast or slow, we'll make the most of it.
I don't think it's that it was slow. I think it's that it was long.
Okay.
Like, so much happened this year for it to only be this year is what I was trying to say.
Now you need that clarification.
No, because
She's
don't
like,
get me
it was
wrong.
not a slow
Don't get me
year.
wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it was also just really fast for me. But I'm saying,
I resonate.
yeah,
Like,
it's-
I'm pulling you.
yeah,
And I'm not walking fast enough. Or you're not walking fast enough. Like, come here, God.
yeah,
Catch up to me.
Like,
literally,
Yeah.
The scenes are going by,
Yeah.
but the movie is still going
yeah,
on.
yeah. And so that's what I was trying to say. Like, all the stuff that happened this year, I can't believe it's still the same year. Yeah.
And I ask myself that all the time. Like, did all of this happen this week?
Literally.
I'm like, this was today? Like, you ever catch yourself and you're like, but that was this morning that this happened.
Yeah.
And then it's like so many events happen. And I'm so happy that it's not just me that had a interesting year, to say the least. Like, 2020 has been
2022.
2022.
2020 was a whole nother.
That's a whole nother situation. 2022 was, and I would say, like, just a flashback. A lot of us had COVID during that time.
Not me.
I think
I did not have it, not once. So
Me either.
Well, she opted out of it.
just letting you know.
Same.
Some of us on this couch.
We're on the same. Yup.
We were
Premium
quarantined.
immune system.
we don't know what Kia has. She was good. Johannes, you didn't have it?
I didn't have it.
I had it
Okay.
October.
But did you have it during this time? Because that's when we were all hit.
No, last year when everybody got
Yeah.
it, I stayed safe.
Okay, Sarah.
No, I
you
for
were
sure
good.
did not.
But
yeah.
Sarah was walking around as if it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, we won't put it out there.
It's okay,
but
though. I'm immune.
right, she was perfectly fine. But a lot of us started off the year in quarantine, OTYD family, right, where we were messaging each other in a big group chat of like, y'all, this is how we're gonna celebrate our new year. Like, this is what it's come to. And I feel like that echoed how this year was, of just like so many things, like you said, of just different events. It's almost hard to like reflect on it all as one as well. But with that being said, like, what would you say is the biggest challenge? God, we kind of talked about the friendship and all that kind of stuff, but what was the biggest challenge that you faced this year? That's a tough one, right? There's so many challenges.
I think one thing for myself was, I think it was so long that so many things happened that like I wasn't being true to myself with some things.
Ooh, that
I
a
was just
good
kind of
one.
like, even with just anything, I was just like, oh, it's fine. This happened. It'll just be better next time. Like, I wasn't intentionally trying to fix it or trying to be better myself. It was honestly just like, especially with like school or like goals I've made. I usually make goals for like the month and stuff. I just wasn't as intentional as I like wanted to be. It was just more of like go with the flow, but it was too flowy. Like there was no
It was too flowy.
there was no goal. There was nothing like, you know, like direct that I really cared about. So I think being intentional was something that I really did struggle with. So
I would say my biggest challenge, so I go to school in Denton, you know, go UNT, go Eagles.
Go Mean Green.
Going,
Yes, that's us.
Excuse me, I'm an alumni.
Oh,
Wait a
sorry, I'm
minute.
sorry.
We're both how they just
Alumni.
keep pushing me.
anyways,
We both
UTD.
Anyways,
Yeah, we don't recognize you.
I go to school in Denton, and I also like live in Denton, and church is in Dallas, you know, an hour away. And so it's my junior year. It was my sophomore/junior year of college this year. And I would say my biggest struggle was trying to balance the school church life. I feel like my freshman and sophomore year, it wasn't balanced. I was more like church. I was always like, oh, there's this going on this weekend. Oh, there's this. I'm going to be there. I couldn't miss anything, whether it was school or church. So I was like pulling myself in so many, like trying to be there for everything. And then this year I was like, okay, I need to find a balance because it's not going to work. Like I can't live like this. So my biggest challenge was being okay with missing stuff. Like
That's a big one. God, that's a big one.
girl, yeah. I really did struggle too because I'm not gonna lie, I do get FOMO. Like even if it's church or even school events, I think that the crazy thing is like it'll be Knicks and like a big school event
that
on
you
the
have to
same day,
be at.
like or like an OTYD conference and so I really did struggle, but I think I found a good balance for my life. Like I made it work this year. So
What did you have to tell yourself to be okay with missing that? Because I'm glad you said FOMO, because I think a lot of us experience that. We just might not talk about it. But fear of missing out is a real thing, especially if you're in school, if you're working. Like, you just can't, like, you know, if there's a Knicks on a work day, like, you can't call off every Knicks, right? And then, like, your heart is like, I want to be at church, but it's like, corporate is here.
literally.
You know what I mean? So what did you tell yourself, or what did you do to kind of overcome that challenge?
It's okay. Like there will be another one. Like it's like I'm only in school this 1.5 years left, you know, like
Talk about it.
after that I have my whole life to, you know, like it's okay, there will be more, or it's okay, like this will pass. Like it's not as big in the moment. It's gonna be, you know, like dang, seeing all them snaps, you know,
Pictures that come up.
like I'll be like, dang, I wish I was there, but it's okay. Like there's gonna be another one. I can make the next one.
You know what, God? Sorry, Jerry. I really wish I told myself that it was okay. I felt like I was obligated to be everywhere at once when I barely could prioritize myself. You know what I mean? So, I mean, nothing against any organization or no.
What are we saying?
Or like church, you know, my spiritual life or anything as such. It's just that I do keep OTYD as a priority. I do keep teaching kids as a priority. And given that, I see that as number one before I see myself. So it's like I will fit anything in my schedule, even if I don't have a little bit of space. Like I will literally squeeze it in instead of telling myself it's okay. I think the only thing that I missed, I forget that I graduated like in May, like
This year,
a few months ago. Yeah. The only thing that I missed out on was STEM-Guts, and I was so sad. I was like, "Am I really watching it on live in my bedroom?"
I remember this.
In Denton.
And you were up.
I was.
You were up.
And then I still went to school the next few hours, but I really wish I told myself it's okay not to drive down every weekend. You know what I mean? So that's a great point that you brought up. Yeah. And I'm like learning from you. You're younger than me, you know, and love that.
Look at you saying that so proudly. Remember, she was so scared at the beginning. Don't say my age. Don't say nothing. Now she's like, you're younger than me.
But you know what? My age is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, queen. But Sada, you brought up a really good point of saying not giving time to yourself. And that's the thing with, I think, service and us as OTYD members, as Christians, as, servants, is that we neglect our needs at times to serve, right? So when you look back at this year, what were some things that you could have done differently to create a balance in both serving others, serving your church, serving your community, OTYD, of course, prioritizing all of that, but also serving your needs, right? Like what you were saying, sometimes you physically might not be able to go, but you're going to make it happen, right? Like you're going to find any means to be there, but mentally you might be somewhere else. You checked out. There's actually, I wish I remember the word, but there's a word where like your body is somewhere, but your mind, you know it?
Disassociating or no?
Disassociating. Okay, well, if anyone knows it, comments down below.
Okay.
Comments down below. But there's a legitimate word where you're physically somewhere, but your mind is like, it's just not present. There's like such a huge disconnect. Yeah. So reflecting back at this year, like what could you have done? And this is to myself too, because I'm very much in this category.
For me, it would have been like to stop comparing myself to others, because I do it constantly. Like if I see one person who's doing very good in school, or like maybe they just graduated and I haven't graduated yet, like it makes me feel really awful about myself. And it makes me feel like, like what am I doing? I'm just wasting my time. Like, how am I not at their level yet? Or like what's stopping me? And I just like, it puts me down instead of like trying to like hype me up, and instead of like motivating me. Same thing with like not just school, but like especially in church. Like if I see somebody who's constantly going to church and going to all these gubais and things like that, I'm like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not going to every single one of them? And things like of that nature, right? In every aspect of my life, I feel like I'm comparing myself to somebody else. And it wasn't until I really realized that instead of like really focusing on trying to be like everybody else, I should just be the best version of myself. Or like we learned during this 3-day gubai that we just had, like Alab, one of the guest speakers, he was saying like, don't be like somebody else, or don't try to be like somebody else or something like that. But he said instead be the better version of yourself that you were yesterday. And I think that's very, very true. And we're not doing that enough. I feel like constantly we're still trying, like secretly like comparing ourselves to others. And it's just like comparison is like what I've heard is like the thief of joy. And I love that, because it really, really is. You see something that somebody has and you wish you had it, and you start feeling bad about yourself, and it doesn't help at all. It just makes things worse. I wish I could have learned that earlier.
Go ahead. No, girl, because I will go on.
Okay, mine is it's a little different. As Jerry said, like she basically raised me.
Aww.
Big sister though. Okay, don't get.
Can we get an
comment? So like I've seen like her, I've seen like the rest, even in OTYD, they work so hard, and they don't prioritize themselves, to where like in the summers was the only time I was ever like, and it was like less than a fraction of what they were feeling. So I already had that like mind to where I was
compare.
like, no. I was like, I'm protecting myself. Like I set boundaries since the beginning. I was like,
I love that.
I was so proud.
And I wish,
that.
like that's what I learned. It's more of like I protected myself a little too much. Like I was just like, no, yes, no. So like
thinking,
it's way different than like you guys, where you guys like had a hard time balancing it, to where me, since I came to the game a little later, I was able to learn from y'all of like being sure to be assertive and being like no, or like making time for yourself. So I mean, kudos to y'all for doing all that.
I just want to say I'm the exact same way. Like I definitely learned from like the older ones that it's okay to say no, because the more you take care of yourself, the better like your service is. Like the quality of your service is much higher. It's much more productive, and you won't like be like, oh man, like I'm really serving here again. I'm here another Friday. Like instead, you're gonna be like, oh, like I'm happy to be here. Like I have the energy, and you're excited to serve.
That
Sada's like, yes.
Wow, go ahead, keep going.
Y'all seeing eye to eye. Y'all said, yep.
But seriously, I think I speak for Sarah and I when I say we wish we could have had experiences like where you guys are, where we got to see others get burnt out and get so tired, and we're I don't want to be like that, because we, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, right? Yes, like he had was a student at one point of mine, and then like I knew eventually she was going to grow up and become a teacher and serve and take all these roles, but I wasn't moving in a direction of, okay, I got to teach her this. I'm trying to figure it all out, right? Like as I'm teaching, as I'm being summer school director and whatnot. But through that struggle in the background, she was noticing, oh man, JD coming in looking rough today.
Oh my God.
She didn't have time to, maybe she was thinking that she didn't have time to.
You okay, Jerry?
Man, JD's the bags with the eyes.
Jerry, go drink water.
Go drink water. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to do that. But in that's how it works with like the newer generation. I definitely see some people, especially like I was so proud this summer. She was not kidding. Boundaries is not even, I was like, all right now, girl, hold on now. We might need to allow them to do this, or we need to do this. But setting those boundaries is so healthy, and saying no, like Johannes, you said, it's so hard for us in this community and in service to be like, I can't. Like, I just can't. Like, that's like, men? No, you're going to do it. And then, there's like,
no, literally.
Like, no, you're coming. Or like, they're like, you're, it's like, no.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're like,
but like with respect for,
Of course. And it's the obedience. It's, the willingness that we have to serve. But I love to hear that the next generation has like the boundaries set and like understands the importance of having that self-respect and taking care of yourself as well.
I think, I guess it's really just about communication, because that's actually what I was about to bring up. Something that I would have done differently were to just confront the situation and communicate. I'm a non-confrontational person.
Really? Really?
But I see that now it's very important to like move forward and just communicate, because it is effective for the long run. And had I done that, things would have been different, because I'm sure many people can understand, Yeah.
Absolutely. I think when we all look back at this past year, even though we're acknowledging that maybe there are moments that, we could have taken for ourselves and, we were able to serve, I think there's still moments that we can look back and say, maybe I should have taken that time for myself, or maybe I should have handled this situation a little differently. And I think that's the beauty of these conversations, where we get to pause and it's like, let's reminisce. Like, you remember how summer was? And you're like, you remember how, like our conference in October was, like the conference we just had, or I can't even remember everything else before that. It's just been back to back, right? Like all of those things, that's the beauty of being able to have conversations about it and kind of being able to understand, what we learned from that. But in saying that, right, so we talked about this past year, what we learned, what we took from it. If there was something that, like at the start of the year, right, like obviously, like this is you looking at how you experienced this year, what advice would you give yourself? And I know Johannes kind of talked about it.
Oh, no.
The twins. Sorry, Johannes talked about it a little bit earlier, but what advice would you give yourself going into this past year of 2022? Like just seeing like the ups and downs that you face, the challenges, you've grown, like regardless, both good or bad, like you've seen progress, you've changed, you've developed, you've grown spiritually, you've come a long way. So in that, what advice would be good to prepare you for this year and like what, it had in store for you?
I would reiterate, it's okay. That's kind of my life motto. Like every little thing is gonna be okay. Like
we want a shirt that says it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And also, everything passes and time heals. Like those three, it's just like whatever I was struggling with in January, by May, it was a completely different thing. Or whatever it was in May, August, I was You know what I'm saying? Like,
This too shall pass.
this too shall pass, literally. And so I would say time heals is also a big one. So whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay.
I like that one. I like it a lot. Time really does heal. And also, I think, like I said earlier, of course, being patient is very, very important. Because to me, I found that like whenever I'm in a like situation where I feel like I'm rushed to make a decision, I always make the worst decision I can make. Not even like a bad one or whatever, but like the worst decision I could have made is the one that I made. And instead, if I just like kept it cool and just was calm and was patient and let the decision come to me, like I would realize like what would have been the right like route to have went. And that's a lot. That's I feel like something I could apply to like every aspect of my life as well. Maybe not school because I need to get that done. I'm done with school. I gotta rush that one.
It's your journey.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody has their own journey, and everybody's dealing with what they have to deal with. And to be patient and to ride that out with a certain like calm serenity is very, very important for your own peace of mind.
I would have to agree with Johannes. I will say it over and over and over again. Sarah, be patient. Like, I promise you, this entire year, I feel like it's been highlighted in bold, like bold letters saying patience or patient, just in many different ways, different fonts, you know what I mean? Because now every time like I feel like I'm losing hope, I'm not. At the same time, even if I feel like I'm on edge, I feel like God is testing me how much I can handle, but at the back of my head I'm just like, Sarah, it's okay, you could be patient. Like, you faced many things that have put you in predicaments that made you allowed you to persevere, so I would advise myself to continue being patient, and even for the upcoming year I will do that as well. Yeah,
I love that. I think a lot of people could resonate with what all three of you said, but that patience of understanding and really just trusting God and saying, look, I can only do this much. The rest I'm going to give to you.
Yes.
Right? Like, I've done all that I can. I am prepared. I've put in the energy. I've put in the effort. The rest is up to you. Like that, we could hear it again and again, but it's such a common theme that we see time and time again, and every year, right? So I really enjoyed that as well.
My turn. I think mine says be mindful with just everything I'm doing. Like, I just feel like this year was also so long and rushed that like I truly don't remember most of the things that happened, and I'm pretty sure it's all of us, but I'm just like, dang, like what happened this year? So I think it's be mindful and intentional with like the people you meet, the friends you make, and like even with school. Like, I think that's one thing I definitely learned is like be mindful with the class I'm choosing, the whatever path I want, but also with my prayers. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm like,
that one hit.
Yeah, it's like whenever I pray, it's just like, thank you. Can I please have the,
Yeah.
It's not really like what I really wanted. So like October and stuff, I was like, I need to be mindful of what I'm praying about. I need to do this. So be mindful is definitely top for me.
I love that. I love that. I think like, I don't know if it's like you guys feel the same way, but for me, I'm mindful at the beginning. Bro, I start off strong. January, you can't touch me. February, I'm still kicking it. Now March rolls around. Hold up now. You lose your balance a little bit. And then as the year, it continues. It's like literally you just black out almost because it just happens so fast and it just comes and that's why the New Year resolution, you start off strong. You see everybody at the gym at the beginning and then it dwindles off, right?
It's okay, September.
Yeah, and then you try to kick it back, but it's fine. But being mindful throughout the year, I think, is really important, and maybe not putting like the huge pressure on ourselves. just even having little moments. Like God said at the beginning, you know, she wanted to be intentional. And maybe you start off strong at the beginning and you were like, let's do these dates. Let's do, you know, naily. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
We didn't get dates, so.
Yeah, you know, just the self-care, you know, girls' day or whatever. And then it might not have stayed in that same theme, but I'm sure you were still catching up with your friends, still making those calls and doing all of that stuff. So those are still big wins that we can take.
I really like what you said. And also, I feel like it's very important for everybody to understand that, like, we keep like looking at like who we want to be like or what we want in the future, but we don't like ever take time to appreciate like how far we've come from like our past. And I feel as if more people were to do that, if we all did that individually, like it's very important to like enjoy the little things, like the little wins that we get daily, to enjoy those and to like help us like build upon it and to motivate us to like keep going on, keep going strong. Like you pray once and we're like, oh, you know, prayers, like that's what we're supposed to do. You know, it's easy, like you have to do it. But instead, thinking about it in a way of like, you know, I did a good prayer today. I was mindful. I really prayed from my heart. It wasn't just a routine. And instead, building upon that and say like, I want to do that again tomorrow night. Like I want to be mindful and I'm going to continue it. And it's not going to be a routine. And building upon that foundation is very, very important.
I think I want to add on one more thing. Staying consistent. Staying consistent is
a good one.
Yeah. One of the main things that taught me this year. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but like you said, January, February, right? And then March is kind of rocky.
Right.
But you've passed 28 days to build that habit, you know? But it's just like unimaginable things thrown at you from different directions. You're just like, wait, let me just hold that aside and focus on what's making me feel attacked, right? Or like what's pressuring me. But at the same time, you know, we can still remain consistent with our regular schedule, right? I feel like having little portions of that daily can still be effective for the long run, because we're like, just like I know that I have to sleep or I know that I have to eat, I know that I could do this too. And like being consistent, I would say I would advise myself to continue doing, because I feel like now that I'm just like, I can't do certain things and move with my day-to-day life. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not me. I'm grossed out. I feel like, what, Sarah? You need to incorporate something, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's important to also give yourself the grace to say, like you said at the beginning, you've gone so long for 28 days. Like you've built that habit to start it, which is the hardest part, right? Like starting the journey and then just continuing. And even if you have those days that you fall off or those challenges, maybe those days that you might not pray, you know, as well as you could, there's still tomorrow, you know? And like this conference, we learned, you know, you just have to be better than the day before. Right? Like better than who you were yesterday, like Johannes said. So this is a lot of stuff we're going to take into the new year, which I'm excited.
Yes.
And I hope our OTYD family that's listening is kind of on this journey. Like the premise of this whole podcast is for our listeners and our family. Really, they're our family. They're our cousins. Literally, OTYD family is not just us. It's you, the listeners, the viewers. I hope, you know, you guys are able to kind of take from this. I think each part of our stories that we share today, somebody could resonate with them and somebody could take. And it'd be interesting to kind of look back on it a year from now, even for us to say, that's how we concluded 2022. So how is 2023 going to look? Right? So with that being said, before we close out, I just, you know, I want to see what are your intentions for this new year? We have another episode coming out next week. But for you guys, I just want to know, and you can be, you know, as open or, you know, as surface level as you want, but being, you know, keeping in mind of being intentional for the new year. It doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution per se, but what are you wanting to accomplish for this upcoming year? Johannes said, I'm ready. He said, I've been thinking about this. Go ahead,
There's
brother.
Two big ones. The first one would be to finish out school, is to graduate.
We'll be there cheering you on.
Amen.
You better be.
Yes,
I need it. It's school, finishing that out, and then the second one is to be able to like do kadase like easily as like a first deacon. It's something I've been trying to like learn and like get better at with all the different zemas and all these different things that we have to know. And for some reason, I just like haven't mastered it yet, and I just keep messing up. And as encouraging and as loving as the priests are, like I'm very tough on myself, and I just like I kind of like dog on myself, honestly. And instead of doing that, I'm gonna try to instead like motivate myself and say like, hey, it was a good attempt, but I know you can do better, and that's what I'm gonna try to do.
I love that. I love that. And you're going to look back at this and say, did you accomplish it or did you not? So just tune in for next year.
If I did not, I will not be here.
No, he'll be here for the follow-up. Sarah, what you got for us?
I would say just focusing on my spiritual life. Continue praying intentionally, because that's one thing I cannot live without. Like lacking in my spiritual life is a no-go. And I realized that this year I'm just like, I can't just be blanks in my mind, you know what I mean? Just at a numbing state. It's not fair for me, or it's not fair for students that I teach. You know, I'm not giving them all of me. I'm not providing service to them if I'm not praying intentionally, if I'm not focusing on the word of God. So for sure, being consistent, and just seeking guidance in terms of staying strong in my spiritual life is one thing that I really want to focus on. So that is a New Year's resolution. I did change it up this year because I realized there are many lessons that come along. Yeah.
Love that.
So, we had this conference this past weekend, and the conversations we had yesterday, I feel like really ignited something in me.
Yes,
like,
love that.
I'm not like,
I love
That's a
that.
conversation that was done at my house. I just want to
Of
preface by
course.
saying,
Our house.
Like going demanding.
Just talking to other servants and seeing that other people struggle as well. Like, it's not just people coming to Bible study and stuff, it's servants. Like, it's not just me, And so I feel like coming into this new year, I need to work on balance. I know I said that I was working on balance this past year with like school and church, but I think I got to the point where I was like, it's okay for me to step back from church. And I got to the point where I was too laid back. Like, I think I missed more stuff than I was at this year. And so again, finding that balance is what I would say for my spiritual / worldly life.
Love that.
Me too. All from a conversation, like a natural, just open conversation.
I think that's what inspired me to like open up right now, because I'm just like, if we're able to relate in one small room, then I'm sure there are many others out there too,
And just to give a little context about the conversation, these are people that some of us, we don't know them.
Yeah.
Like, we just met this weekend, but yet it was maybe 30 of us in a room of just like, we're like, how does this room fit this many people?
Yep.
and we just kept adding.
We're
and
just sitting crisscross looking at random people, but
Literally.
opening up.
And someone's story would resonate with someone across the room. Someone would say something and someone would be like, that's exactly how I feel. And I think, both of you guys opening up today also will allow someone that's listening, our OTYD family that's extended out there, to really just understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're really not.
I think mine still will be. I'm with you, Sarah.
Go ahead, girl.
Mindful and intentional, but like, to be specific, I think I just want to not be hard on myself, but as well, I want to keep myself accountable.
Ooh.
Like, I'm way too laid
Let's
back.
keep each other accountable.
Let's do it. Like, I'm so laid back.
Find your accountability
by the way,
partner.
Sorry. By the way, September is still New Year's, so it's okay. We'll go back to it.
Stop.
True. She has a point.
Sorry. But
Go ahead, Kia.
I think I just need to be in spiritual life too, especially with prayer. Like, I'm still at these Bible studies, like, to keep my spiritual life like intact. I attend Bible studies, and like, I'm not gonna like it. I have not gone. Yes, Mahlit. sleep, and that's it. So
that's a lot of people, man. You be honest. That's a lot of people shaking their heads and listening and saying, that's me. So that's true.
It's okay, girl.
So yeah.
So working on your spiritual life.
Yep.
She's like, I exposed way too much of myself.
But it could get tiring, you know, just not being able to be there, especially when you're praying, like standing during the divine liturgy and not being present. You're just like, oh, it's Wengate already? Oh,
bro, just standing. You're literally just standing. You're like, exactly. Oh, okay. Like,
how do we get here? And I'm tired of that. Like, I'm just like, snap out of it, Sarah. Work on yourself. Yeah.
We'll keep each other accountable.
Yes,
this video will be
proof.
Yeah.
It will be released. I love it. I love hearing, you know, the goals that you guys have, whether it's your New Year's resolution or just the intentionality that you have for the new year. I think it's beautiful and it's amazing. And I would echo what all of you guys said. I think mine would definitely be more of what God said, finding that balance. I think for me, right, just to keep myself accountable and kind of seeing this next year is really just working on finding the balance of taking care of myself and what I need while also serving and serving others, right? Start therapy, y'all. Therapy's good, okay? And also I find a confession, Father. It all works in one, and really just being able to find that balance in both those worlds of giving and taking and receiving as well. So really just being able to work on yourself. But with that being said, I don't know, y'all. I think this is a wrap for 2022. Like it's been a long year. It's been a difficult year, a slow year, a fast year, a confusing year, but it's been a year nevertheless. We've done a lot with OTYD, and this podcast has been released. We're so excited. But more so, we're extremely excited for the new year that's going to come. I think we have such a revamped excitement that's been embraced amongst all of us. And I'm so excited to see not just with us five and what we're able to accomplish, but really with everyone, all of our extended family that's listening, our servants, and really just extended our Orthodox family and brothers and sisters. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this very special episode with all of our amazing guests. Okay. Round of applause for everybody. Round of applause. Okay. With that being said, don't forget to join us next week because we have a very special guest, okay? This guest is, we're not going to tell you who it is. You guys got to join us next week. We're excited. It's going to be a one-on-one interview, really just to give us the spiritual aspect of what to, accomplish for the new year, what to look for. And we all talked about growing spiritually for the new year. So next week, this week we gave you our life experiences. We got deep. We got real. Next week, we're going to give you the spiritual aspect of what to do, how you can grow, and really what you need to do. So with that being said, OTYD fam, we'll see you next week. Make sure to check us out every Sunday, okay? Follow us on IG. If an episode is not released, that means we're on hiatus. But if not, you can, listen to the old stuff, but we'll have our series out.
As always, thanks for tuning in to OTYD, the podcast. Be sure to check out our website at otyd.org and follow our Instagram and Facebook accounts at OTY Dallas. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we drop episodes on Sunday evenings. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. See you next time.